Good evening, one and all. I take this opportunity to very warmly welcome President Obama to Australia for his first visit as President. President Obama is no stranger to our shores, having visited Australia before, but it is a special delight to have him here for his first visit as President. And it comes at an important time in our nation's history and in the history of our region. We will be looking back during this visit. We'll be looking back at 60 years of the ANZUS alliance. We'll be looking back 10 years to the dreadful day of 9/11, a day we all remember with great sorrow. And we will be reflecting on those events. But we will be looking forward. We live in the growing region of the world whose global contribution to global growth is a profound one. We live in a region which is changing in important ways. And as a result of those changes, President Obama and I have been discussing the best way of our militaries cooperating for the future. So I'm very pleased to be able to announce with President Obama that we've agreed joint initiatives to enhance our alliance, 60 years old and being kept robust for tomorrow. It is a new agreement to expand the existing collaboration between the Australian Defence Force and the US Marine Corps and the US Air Force. What this means in very practical detail is from mid-2012, Australia will welcome deployments of a company-sized rotation of 200 to 250 Marines in the Northern Territory for around 6 months at a time. Over a number of years, we intend to build on this relationship in a staged way to a full force of around 2,500 personnel. That is a full Marine Air Ground Task Force. A second component of these initiatives which we have agreed is greater access by US military aircraft to the Royal Australian Air Force facilities in our country's north. This will involve more frequent movements of US military aircraft into and out of Northern Australia. Now, taken together, these two initiatives make our alliance stronger. They strengthen our cooperation in our region. We are a region that is growing economically, but stability is important for economic growth too. And our alliance has been a bedrock of stability in our region. So building on our alliance through this new initiative is about stability. It will be good for our Australian Defence Force to increase their capabilities by joint training, combined training with the US Marines and personnel. It will mean that we are postured to better respond together, along with other partners in the Asia-Pacific, to any regional contingency, including the provision of humanitarian assistance and dealing with natural disasters. In addition to discussing this global force posture review by the United States and these new initiatives in our alliance, the President of the United States and I have had an opportunity to reflect on a number of other issues, to reflect on circumstances in the global economy, to reflect on a clean energy future for our nations and for our planet. To reflect on the forthcoming East Asia Summit, President Obama will proceed from Australia to that summit in Indonesia, where he spent time growing up. We've had a comprehensive discussion. I very much welcome President Obama to Australia. I think he's already seen that the welcome he's getting from Australians, including Australian school children, is a very warm one, and I know that that is going to be sustained during tonight's events and the events of tomorrow. President Obama, over to you.
Well, good day, everybody, and thank you, Madam Prime Minister, for your generous welcome, your friendship, and your partnership. I am thrilled to be down under. As you may know, this is not my first visit to Australia. In fact, I first visited Australia as a boy, and I've never forgotten the warmth and kindness that the Australian people extended to me when I was 6 and 8, and I can see that the Australian people have lost none of that warmth. I very much wanted to take this trip last year, and though events back home prevented me from doing so, I was determined to come for a simple reason. The United States of America has no stronger ally than Australia. We are bound by common values, the rights and the freedoms that we cherish, and for nearly a century, we've stood together in defense of these freedoms. And I'm very happy to be here as we celebrate the 60th anniversary of our alliance and as we work together to strengthen it for the future. We are two Pacific nations, and with my visit to the region, I am making it clear that the United States is stepping up its commitment to the entire Asia-Pacific. In this work, we're deeply grateful for our alliance with Australia and the leadership role that it plays, as it has been for 6 decades. Our alliance is going to be indispensable to our shared future, the security we need and the prosperity that we seek, not only in this region but around the world. I'm also very grateful for my partnership with Prime Minister Gillard. We've worked quite a bit together lately, spanning time zones, the G20 in Cannes, APEC, and TPP in Hawaii, now here in Australia, and next on to Bali for the East Asia Summit. And this speaks to how closely our countries work together on a wide range of issues. And in my friend Julie, I see the quality that we Americans admire most in our Australian friends. Somebody who's down to earth, easy to talk to, and who says it like it is, straight up. And that's why we achieved so much today. We agreed to push ahead with our efforts to create jobs for our people by bringing our economies and those of the region even closer together. Building on our progress at APEC, we're going to keep striving for a seamless regional economy. And as the two largest economies in the Trans-Pacific Partnership, Australia and the United States are helping to lead the way to a new model for trade across the region. And along with our G20 partners, we agreed that we have to stay focused on the growth that creates jobs and that every nation needs to play by the same economic rules of the road. As two global partners, we discussed the whole range of challenges where we stand shoulder to shoulder, including Afghanistan. Obviously, this has not been an easy mission for either of our countries, and our hearts go out to the families that were affected on October 29th. But we both understand what's at stake, what happens when al-Qaeda has safe havens. We've seen the awful loss of life from 9/11 to Bali. So I thanked the Prime Minister for Australia's strong commitment to this mission. I salute the extraordinary sacrifices of our forces who served together, including your Australian troops who've shown that no job is too tough for your diggers. Today, the Prime Minister and I reaffirmed the way forward. The transition has begun. Afghans are stepping into the lead. As they do, our troops, American and Australian, will draw down responsibly together so that we preserve the progress that we've made. And by 2014, Afghans will take full responsibility for security in their country. But our focus today, as the Prime Minister said, was on preparing our alliance for the future. And so I am very pleased that we are able to make these announcements here together on Australian soil. Because of these initiatives that are the result of our countries working very closely together as partners, we're going to be in a position to more effectively strengthen the security of both of our nations and this region. As Julia described, we are increasing our cooperation, and I'd add America's commitment to this region. Our U.S. Marines will begin rotating through Darwin for joint training and exercises. Our Air Force will rotate additional aircraft through more airfields in northern Australia. And these rotations, which are going to be taking place on Australian bases, will bring our militaries even closer and make them even more effective. We'll enhance our ability to train, exercise, and operate with allies and partners across the region. And that, in turn, will allow us to work with these nations to respond even faster to a wide range of challenges, including humanitarian crises and disaster relief, as well as promoting security cooperation across the region. And this commitment builds upon the best traditions of our alliance. For decades, Australians have welcomed our service members as they've come here to work train, and exercise together. And I'm looking forward to joining the Prime Minister in Darwin tomorrow to thank our troops, Australians and Americans, for the incredible work that they are doing. Finally, as I'll discuss more in my speech to Parliament tomorrow, this deepening of our alliance sends a clear message of our commitment to this region, a commitment that is enduring and unwavering. It's a commitment that I'll reaffirm in Bali as the United States joins the East Asia Summit. And I want to thank our Australian friends who supported our membership so strongly and who've worked to make sure that the EAS addresses regional challenges that affect all of us, like proliferation and maritime security. So, again, I'm very pleased that we're able to make these important announcements during my visit. Madam Prime Minister, I thank you for being such a strong partner and a champion of our alliance. And once again, I want to thank the Australian people for the kindness they showed me about 40 years ago and the kindness that they're showing me during my visit today. It's that friendship and that solidarity that makes and keeps our alliance one of the strongest in the world.
Thank you. We'll turn to taking some questions. I think we'll probably take one from the Australian media first. It's Phil Hudson.
Philip Hudson from the Melbourne Herald Sun. Mr. President, welcome back to Australia.
Thank you very much.
You and Prime Minister Gillard have outlined what is for us a significant new US troop build-up. How much of this is because you're worried about the rise of China? And under today's deal, US Marines will be, for the first time, conducting exercises by themselves on Australian soil. Why is that and what will they be doing? And Mr. President, you also mentioned in your remarks that Afghanistan is not an easy mission. In the past few months, there have been 3 cases for Australia where our troops have been shot at by the Afghan soldiers we've been training, and sadly 4 of our soldiers have died and many others have been injured. Australian public opinion is strongly against our involvement continuing. You outlined just then the drawdown. What do you say to the Australian people who don't want to wait, who want to leave immediately?
Yeah. Well, first, with respect to these new initiatives, this rotational deployment is significant because what it allows us to do is to not only build capacity and cooperation between our 2 countries, but it also allows us to meet the demands of a lot of partners in the region that want to feel that they're getting the training, they're getting the exercises, and that we have the presence that's necessary to maintain the security architecture in the region. And so, as Julia mentioned, this is a region that's becoming increasingly important. The economy in this area is going to be the engine for world economic growth for some time to come. The lines of commerce and trade are constantly expanding. And it's appropriate then for us to make sure that not only our alliance, but the security architecture of the region is updated for the 21st century. And this initiative is going to allow us to do that. It also allows us to respond to a whole host of challenges like humanitarian or disaster relief that, frankly, given how large the Asia-Pacific region is, it can sometimes be difficult to do, and this will allow us to be able to respond in a more timely fashion and also equip a lot of countries, smaller countries who may not have the same capacity. It allows us to equip them so that they can respond more quickly as well. I guess the last part of your question with respect to China, I've said repeatedly, and I will say again today, that we welcome a rising, peaceful China. What they've been able to achieve in terms of lifting hundreds of millions of people out of poverty over the last 2 decades has been nothing short of remarkable. And that is good not just for China, but it's potentially good for the region. And I know Australia's economy obviously has benefited by the increased demand that you're seeing in China. The main message that I've said, not only publicly but also privately to the Chinese, is that